So this is the four-phase system behind every SaaS that successfully managed to scale past 10K in MRR. Now, the thing is, most software founders who are bootstrapped to 10 to 20K MRR will hit a wall eventually in your career. That is, you're getting traffic and you're also getting signups to your product, but then your conversion and your activation suck absolute ass. And now the paradox is that you're getting traffic and signups, so which means that the product is not the problem, right? That is because the deep root cause problem here is that you don't have a system to diagnose and to fix that conversion and activation bottlenecks. And furthermore, to add, the problem also follows on to most founders would overly obsess over acquisition when the real leak here is in activation and retention here. So then when that happens, founders would try these random tactics like to run more ads, to hire a new people like a coder, a new engineer, a new developer in the team, or to add more features. Though these things, these tactics, they're not necessarily wrong, but the another problem is that these things doesn't really compound because these tactics here have no direct impact to conversion and activation. Here's what I mean. When let's say you're running more ads, that has a direct correlation to when you want to scale, when you want to do more distribution, get more people into the door of your product, get more signups, get people to know more about your product, then running ads makes sense. But same thing with hiring a coder or a developer is that these are what I call like technical problems, and they only fix problems that are technical. Like a coding would only fix coding problems. But since we're talking about conversion or activation, this is more about more have to do with psychology. Like how does your user behave? What makes them buy? What makes them quit? What makes them convert? What makes them have a longer lifetime value? And these are things that maybe more features is not the case. Instead of having more features, maybe the solution could be to simplify your onboarding, to remove a feature even. And same thing with having a new coder, like a technical person per se does not know really how to have a direct impact on conversion and activation. So sure, these three things they do work, but you just got to be careful with how you actually execute on them. And that brings me to the next thing. What is the framework that works then? From what I've seen and from what who I've worked with, the companies who have scaled from 10K to 50K aren't the ones who are blindly spending money on traffic or on distribution. They are the ones converting more from what they already have. Meaning to say, they're using the current users to get twice the amount of juice. The current users that you have, you're squeezing them just to get the twice amount of the juice. You see how a lot of people will always be saying to look outside the box, be creative and look what's outside. But I say look inside the box and work with what you have inside the box. That's why I built this four-phase system after auditing more than five software products, and I've seen the same patterns. These are just some social proof of the clients that I work with. Just I don't know, just some social proof to throw that in so that I'm not just some fucking random guy who's talking out of my ass here. Here's the framework. Instead of relying on external factors like sales, ads, hiring a UGC, hiring more people into your team to activate or convert or retain users, instead we want to rely solely on the product itself to activate, convert, and retain users. This is what you call the product-led growth strategy, PLG. And this one on the left, fucking hell, that's okay. Ignore the MRT, you get the gist. This one is more of the sales-led growth strategy, right? You're relying on external forces to get people to activate and convert your users. I'm not saying this one is entirely wrong, but depending on where you are, I mean, even if you think about it, relying on your product in itself to activate and convert and return users makes way more sense than to go on this external route of get relying on things that doesn't have anything to do with your product. Activation and conversion is a two different thing compared to sales and distribution. So this is the four phase system. Right, this is the thing that I'm excited to talk about, and this is what this whole video is mainly about. This is the framework on how I help founders. Phase one is diagnosis. And before you fix anything, you gotta know what's actually broken here. So step one is you gotta define what real value looks like for your users. What is the main product's value proposition here? What makes them succeed? Them as in your users. For example, one of my client inbox app, their real value wasn't using the CRM because inbox app is a CRM for Twitter creators, but what they actually are and what their value proposition is was closing a deal via Twitter DMs. That is their main value proposition. CRM is what they are, but their real value is this closing a deal via Twitter DMs. That's just an example, a real life example from my client. And step two is to identify that first aha moment. What are the exact actions or experience where users realize the first moment of, oh shit, this product actually solves my fucking problem here. They can actually work. I can actually rely on them. For another example, one of my client is creating their first deep link and seeing it work is the first aha moment. And I just want to clarify to say that the first aha moment, the first value moment. When it comes to the first value moment, it doesn't have to be anything big or anything anything crazy and all that. Basically, it's just the first setup on you wanting your user to unlock the first value moment for them to actually gain your trust. You know they want to trust you by saying that, oh, they can actually solve my problem. And by doing this, you don't have to do anything crazy. You just gotta make them believe that they can trust you by solving their problem. And the first aha moment does that. Now, step number three is to map the current activation path. This is straightforward. This is to map every step from sign up to that aha moment. Then step four is to identify the main bottlenecks. So the output here is to have a clear diagnosis document showing exactly what is broken and why in your UI. And that brings me to phase two, which is activation engine. Now that we have already know the bottlenecks and the current activation path, this is where we take action. So following the order, step five is to ruthlessly simplify the onboarding process to the aha moment. So this is simply said, I mean, it's quite self-explanatory, right? To remove every step that doesn't serve activation. If if it creates drag, if it creates friction in the onboarding, we're gonna remove it. And step six is to shorten time to first value. The question here in step six is how fast can someone experience the first value moment? Maybe let's say for you, the average TTV of a user is 6 minutes. But let's say maybe you could actually reduce that time from 6 to 3 minutes. That 3 minutes difference is fucking huge. And step seven is to create product bumpers. Users need to feel that they're moving forward, and product bumpers could come in the form of like welcome messages, product tours, progress bars, onboarding checklists. And step eight is implementation review. This is where I don't want to just hand you some fucking roadmap for you to just use, and I'm just gonna leave you alone. Then that's it. My part of my work's done. No, I'm gonna coach your work with implementation before you ship anything. And the output of phase two is you would have a fully optimized activation flow that gets more users to activate and convert into loyal paying customers. This is the key here. Because sure, you could activate users and then so what? Maybe their lifetime value could just be like what, 2 months, 3 months. No, no, no. We're going all balls deep. Once we activate them, we're gonna convert them into loyal paying customers. And so moving on to step eight is phase three, retention and habit. Why the fuck do I keep on saying that? Habit formation. Because getting users to activate is one thing, but then keeping them is a whole nother thing, which is why phase three exists on its own. Step nine is to build habit loops. We're building habit loops in a form of trigger, action, and reward. To get slightly deeper into it is trigger could come in a way of in-app messages that nudge users towards an core action. Another one could be email triggers that bring back users who are inactive. Then another example is to have celebration moments when users complete a key action. And the output of phase 3 is to have a retention system that turns your one-time users into repeating users who would who would get in the habit loop of using your product over and over again. Now, the last phase is monetization. This is where the money actually comes in. From this point, you've already activated your users, you've already built a system to retain them. Now, this is where we get into the money by converting them into paying customers. So, step 10 is value optimization. This is where we're going to be finding a suited free plan model, free plan as in a free trial or a freemium model, that lets users to see a product without freeloading. What I mean by freeloading is because I had clients, or even I've seen other software products who face this problem of having users who just freeload their product. They would just use the free plan, but then they never upgrade. Unfortunately, quite ironically enough, Miro actually makes this mistake. I'm using Miro right now. Guess what? I'm on the free plan. And maybe this is actually a key lesson that you can learn from Miro. You gotta have some limits when it comes to your free plan. Miro runs on a freemium plan for you to have three boards to use. So therefore, I don't need to really upgrade Miro because I'm not using more than three. I'm maybe using only two, maybe three max. So what Miro could do instead is to, instead of letting users to use three boards for free, maybe get them use two or maybe one if you really want to be strict. But guess what? People are still gonna pay because I've already experienced that value, like what we talk about in phase 2 or phase 1, to get users to unlock the first time to value moment. So I have no issues paying for my Robot. They're just, so moving on. The example is Postal. Postal has this like $1 free trial. Instead of a free trial, they have a $1 trial, a 7-day trial that filters bad leads. And this commits serious users, hence it doubles your conversion rate. And there we have it. So next question is, why me? I'm making this whole entire video talking about my framework and all that, but why should you choose me? My main USP is actually an objection, and that is I'm actually not a software founder. I've never built a product ever. But however, I've experienced so many products as a confused user. Okay, there's a grammar mistake here. Let me just. Now, this is actually very useful for founders is because I catch friction points that founders would miss because I don't have a founder bias. I want you to think about this. My advantage is that while your competitors are working with people who are very technical, you are going to be working with someone who thinks like your user, who behaves like your user, who understands things like your user. And this is where I come in. I don't know why not many people actually provide this perspective, but I mean I guess that's my unique selling point, I guess. And to even furthermore add on, this is all a non-technical direction. No fucking theory. What I mean by that is I'm here to show you where your users are getting confused and where they're living because I experience your product the way they do. And since I'm your user, I understand user psychology, users' behavior, what makes them pay, what makes them stay, and how to do it. And these are the things that these technical specialists like engineers, coders, etc. do not know. Now, of course, I'm not shitting on engineers and coders. You need them to build your product. But I'm just saying when it comes to having proper direction so that you don't waste time and your fucking money, this is why you need people like me. And unlike other coaching or SaaS consultancy who gets you to work with someone from their team because they run a huge corporation, you will be working directly one-on-one with me. I'm making this video. If you're working with me, if you're book on a call with me, guess who you're working with? You're working with me, one-on-one with me. That's what makes me fucking special here. And this is how we work. The formula here is simple. Diagnosis, followed by activation, habit loop, and revenue. That's literally just a summary of my four phase framework. Now, the formula here is this: UX and micro bot breakdown plus implementation coaching equals the result. And that result is my main incentive result is 2x in MRR. Now, I do want to clarify that some founders have different goals that they want to hit. Maybe some people, what they want is actually just to increase their retention, reduce their churn, or increase their activation rate, increase their sign up rate from their landing page. So when I say 2x in MRR, that's just my main incentive. But yeah, I just want to emphasis and clarify that some people want different things. But all in all, at the end of the day, even when you're working on these vanity metrics like trial to sign up rate, your activation rate, your conversion rate, your churn rate, they all led up to increasing your MRR. So this is just the guaranteed deliverables that you're getting: a UI and UX board breakdown and implementation coaching. In case, by the way, in case if you're wondering how this looks like on my UX and my UX Miro board breakdown, check out my other videos. Like I got plenty of breakdowns on what I do with other products. Now brings the question that you may think: if we will work together, how does that look like? This is, well, I guess like a simple mind map, I guess, on how things work. The timeline would stem from week 1 all the way till week 12, and that is 3 months. Now I do have some cases where it goes from week 12 to week 16, so instead of 3 months it could be 4 months, but the main general concept is 12 weeks is what I'm working with here. And this timeline do follow the order of the four phase framework system. So yeah, week 1 is to run the diagnosis, which is phase 1. Then week 2 is your phase 2. Then this one is implementation coaching. Then week 7 to week 9 is retention and habit formation. Then and also monetization, which is phase 4. Then week 12 is just final review. You get the idea here. And then these are the deliverables that you will be getting in all of the process that we would be working together in the time span of 12 to 16 weeks. And this is all the way, all of the deliverables from phase 1 to phase 4. Of course, I'm not going to be covering this whole entire thing because this video will be incredibly long, but you get the idea. You can just pause the video to read this, right? 1 all the way till 14, I guess. Cool. And how can I forget about the risk reversal? Because of course, when you're working with me, on both your end and my end, we don't want to be entering this blindly. So I have a risk reversal. If things don't go to plan, which is quite rare, but shit happens here. And that is, if we don't hit X amount of goals by the end of the timeline, I will extend my implementation coaching support by an extra 4 weeks until we actually hit the goal. There we go. So that's the risk reversal. Now, this is when I want to be talking about why doing shit yourself, doing things DIY doesn't work. Because some of you might be thinking, I can apply all this myself since he has given me the framework to boost my SaaS to 20k to 5x my MRR, which you could, don't get me wrong. I mean, I've literally given you the whole entire framework here, and you could just run with it. But here's what I've seen happen when founders actually try to do this on their own. The problem is that you're too close with your product because you have built it for months. Your product is technically your baby. And the problem is that you don't really see it as like a confused user. You've seen it from builders, from a technical guy's perspective. So it's just that the bottleneck that is obvious to me, you'll miss it because you're inside the product every single day. And the second problem is that the implementation can get deprioritized. Because think about it, you as a founder, even if you have a co-founder, a co-engineer, co-builder, you have a product to build, a team to manage, customers for you to support, mouse for you to feed. So whatever activation flow design you want to plan, it will get forgotten. And it's not that you don't know what to do, but it's more of that you don't really have the bandwidth to actually do it because you have so much on your plate. then the next problem is you can't really have real accountability, because when you're both the founder and then you're the one implementing the framework and all that, again, you're wearing too many hats. Which hats are you actually really wearing? So therefore, there's no real accountability, because who's gonna be watching over you? You need someone outside of a team who's seen this 50 times before and know when you're cutting corners, when you're doing the right thing, when you're actually doing the right thing. Someone like me to call out on your bullshit so that you are on the right direction here. And all of this, I'm saying all these things not to like, oh, like this is why you should work with me, this is why you shouldn't do things on your own. No, it's not that. It's more of, you just gotta understand the terms of conditions from all of this. Like I said, you can do things on your own. Feel free to do it. But it's way better off that once you understand these terms and conditions, that happens to other founders when they try to implement shit on their own. You could be saving so much money and time by avoiding these mistakes that other people are making here. I mean, the decision is yours. If you want to grow on your own, then feel free do it. But if you want to make this process more faster, more more efficient, and actually get it done right, then you can always book on a call with me. Actually talk to me. I'm your therapist. I'm your consultant. I mean, like I said, you're working one on one with me directly. So yeah, if you're stuck at 10 to 20K, you're bootstrap and you're stuck at a spot and you want to grow furthermore, then you can book a free 30 minutes call with me and we can make fucking money together. So let's fucking go.